Hello, it's midday. Good afternoon, and thanks for making time for the news here on 3FM 92.7. We are coming to you live from our studios here at Adisewe Kanda in Accra. You can listen to us live also on 3news.com. Coming up this afternoon, special prosecutor accuses judiciary of interfering in the work of the office of the special prosecutor. We bring you details of that shortly. Also, aggrieved customers of defunct Gold Coast Fund Management continues with 32-hour picketing at Finance Ministry to demand payment of their locked-up investments. And later, on the international front, Kenya's parliament bans wearing of suit named after the late Zambian president Kenneth Kaunda within the building. Stay tuned because we have details of these and more stories coming your way shortly. Thank you for staying with us. We take the details now. Tema Energy and Processing Limited, TEPL, says it has terminated its ongoing arrangement with the Tema Oil Refinery. In a letter to the acting managing director of Tema Oil Refinery, the board of Tema Energy and Processing Limited says it suspects that the pace at which Tema Energy and Processing Limited, TEPL, has unnerved people and right on cue has led to a wave of recent attacks. Tema Energy and Processing Limited, TEPL, says it's always suspected that the Minister of Energy was using the leadership of GTPWU, but it is shocking that vulnerable institutions such as the Attorney General's Office and OSP can be pulled into it. Other portions of the letter reads, fighting the state to do a complex transaction that resolves around reviving a moribund asset is tiring, and unfortunately, we are no longer interested. It will be recalled that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice last week warned management of the Tema Oil Refinery against going ahead with its intended lease agreement with Torrentco Asset Management Limited. The ministry indicates in its assessment report that Torrentco lacked the requisite licenses and documentation to undertake the proposed lease transaction. Meanwhile, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been speaking about its probe into the lead. Here's the Special Prosecutor Kissie Jabeng addressing the media in a short while ago. Let's take a listen to what he has been saying.
Of the risk of corruption in respect of the proposed partnership agreement between Tema Oil Refinery and Tema Energy and Processing Limited. The Special Prosecutor has directed the management of Tema Oil Refinery to immediately suspend the proposed partnership agreement, ongoing negotiations, operations, and all other ancillary activities arising out of and consequent upon the proposed partnership agreement until otherwise advised by the Special Prosecutor to enable us to timeously conclude the work.
Well, that was the Special Prosecutor Kissie Jabeng. Let's now speak with energy expert Dr. Yusuf Suleimana on the termination by Tema Energy and Processing Limited, TEPL, of the Tema Oil Refinery. Sir, good afternoon. We know that the OSP had asked the deal to be put on hold, and the Attorney General in its due diligence report said it cannot vouch for the company. That was the end of it. Hello, Dr. Suleiman, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Doc, the OSP had asked the deal to be put on hold, and the Attorney General and its due diligence report said it cannot vouch for the company. That was the end of it, or there's more?
Yeah, so, that seems to be the end of it in a way between probably the new company, Tema Energy Processing, Tema Energy and Processing Limited, as we have seen this release coming. I just feel that, I mean, they saw that the weight of these accusations, whatever was upon them, to prove, probably they saw that that was just too much. for me, I see that as welcoming, especially if you look at the kind of opacity and the kind of inaccuracies in terms of documentations and other that were surrounding it. But what the new company needed to do, I don't think the OSP said, the deal was totally, terminated. Nobody terminated the deal. They only asked for salient questions to be answered. So if the company felt that they had that capability, the requisite capability, and I think the asset test has always been the financial wherewithal, because what the understanding was that Vitor was behind it, and later on, information coming out was that Vitor has pulled out. And so what we're understanding is that it looks like they were still now looking for other, credible backer to be able to substantiate the hold on the deal. And it looks like it was no holding. So I believe this is the best thing that they can do, to save the whole space, and so that if other serious parties are interested in the deal, they can come to play. And the thing I would say is that I read their release, and I felt that a lot of things were said that were a bit unfortunate. They are a company, and they put themselves as credible company. And so if you have a deal with somebody and it did not work out, and it's just that the person asked certain questions for you to provide, what they only needed to do is to get that financial backing with and prove beyond reasonable doubt that this company is behind us. So our accounts are not so good, our balance sheet is not good, but we have credible company that is behind us that can champion us. That was just the asset test they needed to do. Unfortunately, it looks like probably they are not. It's not forthcoming, and that's how come we came to this conclusion. So going forward, what I would say is that we noticed that the board was totally behind the deal. This deal that did not go through. And so what we are asking is, or what we want to urge is this: there were other deals that were in place. Let's, as a matter of urgency, pull one of them that we feel that all can come back to life as soon as possible, and then give timelines, and we should get some kind of assurance from the board that they are ready to work with any deal that we feel that it is good. Because my fear is, because the board was just worked on this deal and it did not work out, we don't want any other deal that will come and the board would drag their feet or be lackadaisic in proving that. If that becomes substantiated, I think we will equally call for the board, to advise themselves. Otherwise, until now, we will hope that, another deal will come that will satisfy, both parties, that is Ghana as a whole, Ghana as a partner. And then
let me come in a little. Tema Energy and Processing Limited says it always suspected the Minister of Energy was using the leadership of GTPWU, but it is shocking that vulnerable institutions such as the Attorney General's Office and the OSP can be pulled into it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, and that's very strong. And that, for me, it just suggests on the point that I was trying to make. Or put across. And so that intends that they needed to prove beyond every reasonable doubt, because these institutions doesn't mean that the energy minister has full control over Attorney General, that the energy minister has full control over the workers, and the energy minister has full control over AG or OSP. I think that is clear. With these institutions coming out to raise questions, they only needed to answer those questions. That is all. And then we go forward. But I think they felt that they could not have answers to the questions. And I think what they did is the right way at this moment in time, so that a new partner can come up to champion the affairs with the refinery. What I only found unfortunate is the way they try in their release to run down the workers of the refinery. That is not the best, because they are the same workers that you wanted to rely on in processing this crude that you wanted to do the deal. And I think they could put it better the way they put it, like they run down the refinery. That is not the best. They still feel they are a credible company, and I believe maybe in
absolutely. Grateful for your time, Doc. We have been speaking with an energy expert, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana, on the termination by Tema Energy and Processing Limited of the Tema oil refinery deal. Well, let's go to another pressing issue. Onua TV, Onua FM sues National Media Commission. A little bit of details into what Onua TV and Onua FM has sued the National Media Commission, NMC, at the High Court in Accra today. The case is seeking an order for perpetual injunction restraining the NMC from taking any steps that adversely seek to impact on the media operations of the company and its associates. And William Asiedu, my boss, has joined me here in studio to throw more light on this particular development. William, what more do we know? Okay. All right, so I think you have to take that over again.
Yes, on the 14th of November 2023, Media General received a letter from the National Media Commission, which was indeed directly, to the effect that there was a complaint about the simultaneous broadcast by Unia FM and Unia TV.
Okay.
In the same letter, the National Media Commission imposed sanctions on the two entities, or if you like, the two stations, without asking for their side of the story.
Okay.
And in the response to that letter, the company drew the attention of the Executive Secretary, Mr. George Sapong, to the error, because we believe that in the face of natural justice, we should have been given a hearing before the sanctions were threatened. The company drew the attention of the Executive Secretary, as I said, to the error.
Who should have been fair.
Exactly, but Mr. Sapong has refused to give the station the opportunity to be heard and has also not named any complainant.
Okay.
And so, meanwhile, he has threatened. I mean, if we say he, the NMC, because he represents the commission, they have threatened to have the frequency authorizations of the two stations suspended, among other legal actions. And so, basically, we are saying that the actions and posture of the Executive Secretary is arbitrary, unconstitutional, and against the principles of natural justice, as I said. Yeah. Therefore, we filed this case in court to stop the commission from further harassing the two stations.
Wow.
So basically, that's what the background of the whole story is.
But where is all of this likely to end up at?
Well, in our suit, we are saying that it cannot constitute itself, and I'm talking about the National Media Commission, into a complainant, a prosecutor, and a judge in a complaint. And from its actions cannot now be trusted to be fair and impartial in any case against Unia.
Okay.
And Unia FM and Unia TV. So we are asking the court to hear us, and then as you read earlier, stop it literally from taking any steps that can adversely impact on the media operations of the company and the two stations.
All right, thank you very much, William Asiedu, for breaking that down to our understanding. Away from that, this afternoon, the Special Prosecutor Kisei Jaben is accusing the judiciary of interfering in the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The OSP has, in the last few minutes, been addressing the media on a wide range of issues. Let's listen to a bit of what Kisei Jaben has been saying, and then we engage our reporter on location.
Just as it is essential that anyone accused of a crime should have free access to the courts so that he may be duly acquitted if found not guilty of the offense with which he or she is charged, it is also of the utmost importance that the judiciary should not interfere with investigation and prosecution authorities in respect of matters which are within their statutory powers. It will be gravely inimical to public policy, the fight against corruption, and the administration of justice if the court stepped into this arena to decide who should be investigated, who should be prosecuted, and who should not. That is not the function of adjudication. The danger of this startling decision is again quite obvious. A judge has in the process granted two persons immunity from investigation and in effect immunity from prosecution. This decision opens up a calamitous deluge, as every person under criminal investigation will be encouraged to take out suits to injunct investigation and prosecution bodies from investigating and prosecuting them. Indeed, there is a live case involving the OSP now in which someone has taken the cue to seek to injunct the OSP from investigating them. The real and present danger looms largely on the consideration that by so doing, persons under investigation would end up conscripting the judiciary to clothe them with immunity from investigation and prosecution. Members of the press, I do not intend to sound as though I am predicting doom, but we are facing doom, and this is it. With this development, it will not be long. A suspected murderer or armed robber would boldly walk to court with the unthinkable prayer that the court should injunct law enforcement agencies from investigating him. We are not suggesting that the OSP does not make mistakes. Fight against corruption is being We are not suggesting that this benefit of us all, and that every case brought by the OSP or against the OSP should end in a favorable outcome to the OSP, no matter how improbable the evidence. That is not what we are saying. However, it seems to us that this flagship public agency created by law to fight corruption should receive better regard and consideration by the courts, and not this developing trend of dismissiveness and regression without regard to its governing enactments, and certainly not the erection of non-existent hurdles in its work and operations. I wish I did not have to say all this, but it bears saying, and so I have said it. It is our duty as the Office of the Special Prosecutor to bear these things out.
Well, let's cross over to Dowenya now. Excess water from the Dowenya irrigation dam has inundated houses and displaced more than 600 residents of the town and adjoining communities. Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Sam George has partly blamed the flooding on unauthorized development on waterways, describing the situation as unacceptable. My colleague George Quaining is back in the area and joins me here on Midday Live for details. George, if you can hear me, what is the new development there?
Godwin, for having me. Good afternoon to all our cherished listeners. I'm currently at Dowenya. It's one of the areas that have been, affected by the dam spillage, and I must say that water levels here have receded. Yesterday, when I was here, it was at my knee level, but today it's receded, and children who were unable to go to school yesterday have been in school today, and a family that we were told were trapped in one of their houses were seen today, so clearly they're doing well. And one of the concern residents here raised was the fact that when NADMO officials were here yesterday to take names of victims for onward distribution of relief items, they failed to come to Dowenya Adote. So it's not too late. The officials can come again and take their name because they need these relief items. They've lost most of their stuff. Even if it's food items, mattresses, they need them, for them to bounce back to their normal life.
George, quickly before you go, a woman and 3 children were rescued yesterday. How are they doing?
Oh, they are doing so fine. But that woman, for instance, is just asking for relief items. She wants food, she wants rice and toiletries, bounce back to just have a normal life like every day. But we have already spoken to the Deputy Director General of NADMO, that's Saji Amedonu. Yesterday, the officials were here, so whatever assessment that they take from here, they're having a crunch meeting. That's a response team. So a decision will be taken on the winner. So right after the meeting, the Deputy Director General has agreed to talk to me with all the decisions they've taken today. All
right, my colleague George Quaining there with that particular update on happenings in Dowenya. Rather unfortunate, but you're still listening to Midday Live here on 3FM 92.7. Here's a recap of our headlines. Onua TV, Onua FM sues National Media Commission. And also, Special Prosecutor accuses judiciary of interfering in the work of Office of the Special Prosecutor. We brought you details of that, and we will be speaking to our reporter on ground subsequently. Aggrieved customers of the Fund Gold Coast Fund Management continues with 32-hour picketing at Finance Ministry to demand payment of their locked up investments. And we'll also be bringing you international news as well. You're still listening to Midday Live here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Godwin Asediba. Let's do more stories now. And the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, will on Saturday, December 2, hold parliamentary primaries in its orphan constituencies across the country. These are constituencies where the NPP has no sitting members of parliament, and we will be bringing you details on that particular story soon as well. And well, my colleague Grace Amuajiman has been following up on the defunct Gold Coast management case where customers have actually besieged the finance ministry for about 32 hours, expressing their displeasures regarding their funds that have been locked up for a very long time. And Grace, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us here in the studio to give us developments on the back of that. What exactly have they been saying?
In the aggrieved customers of the funds Gold Coast are basically or simply demanding the release of funds that have already been approved by Parliament so that they can get the monies they invested into Gold Coast Fund Management. That is basically what they are asking the Finance Ministry from. This is not the first time they have besieged the ministry, but they do it in a few time, then they leave. This time they are doing a 36-hour picketing, which started yesterday morning to last night, this morning, and then as we speak, per checks, they are still at the premises of the Finance Ministry. Their 36-hour duration is supposed to expire by 7 p.m. tonight, and so they say until then they are not leaving, even when the 36 period hour is up and they haven't had anything favorable from the Finance Ministry or their funds haven't been released. They will not leave the premises of the Finance Ministry.
But what has been the posturing of the customers there? Are they happy?
Obviously not, Godwin. They tell me most of these customers are pensioners or men and women who have invested their monies as collateral for their children's education. And so most of them are not able to pay their children's school fees. Pensioners are looking for money to buy medicines they don't get, and other commitments that they have to fulfill as married men and women. So they are devastated. They are in a sorry state, and they are looking forward to receiving their monies.
But has there been any official there to address to their concerns?
Yesterday morning, they met the Minister in charge of State for Finance, Amin Adams, who told them that they can only help them unless they pursue Dr. Apakweti Indum, who is owner of the defunct Gold Coast Fund Management. He has a case in court challenging government's liquidation suit. So government says if the customers besiege him and he takes out the case in court, that is when they are going to pay their money. The customers tell me that the litigation is between government and Gold Coast Fund Management, so they have nothing to do with it. They only want their money, and the litigation process can continue.
Well, Grace, there you seem to have so much information on the back of this. Grace, bringing us updates on aggrieved customers of the defunct Gold Coast Fund Management who are continuing with their 32-hour picketing at the Finance Ministry. Definitely, they are not really happy about that. But news just coming in indicates that Onua TV and Onua FM has sued the National Media Commission (NMC) at the High Court in Accra today. The case is seeking an order for perpetual injunction restraining the NMC from taking any steps that adversely seek to impact on the media operations of the company and its associates. The suit follows numerous attempts by the NMC to use its constitutionally mandated office to harass Onua TV and Onua FM. The suit is asking the court to, among other things, declare that some orders issued by the commission to Onua TV and Onua FM are unlawful, and that the conduct of the NMC is refusing to give the stations an opportunity to be heard before imposing sanctions on them as a breach of the law and the natural justice. Just as you've heard it there. Well, you definitely will have to be logged on to 3news.com to get to know how this particular issue unfolds. Away from that, let's delve into politics now. And the governing New Patriotic Party NPP will on Saturday, December 2, hold parliamentary primaries in its orphan constituencies across the country. These are constituencies where the NPP has no sitting members of parliament. Here on your Election Command Center, we are this afternoon focusing on conversation on female aspirants contesting the elections in the three northern regions, which is the Northern, Savannah, and the Northeast region. Our correspondent Christopher Amwako joins us this afternoon for details on the back of this. Chris, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, tell us about the constituencies that are orphaned in the three regions. Where you are at the moment, can you give us a bit of statistics on how the primaries will pan out?
Okay, so if you look at the three regions, that is the Northern, Savannah, and Northeast regions. First of all, from the Northern region, there are 9 orphaned constituencies. There are 18 constituencies in the Northern region. MPP is holding on to 9, NDC is holding on to 9. So this election will be taking place in 9 constituencies. However, 2 out of the 9, that is the Sagnarigo constituency and the Kumbungu constituencies. There won't be any parliamentary primaries because the constituencies have candidates who are going unopposed.
Okay.
So they are now left with 7. And out of the 7 constituencies, there is only one woman that is aspirant for the Savulugu constituency. That of Sagnarigo is also a woman, but because she's going unopposed, she's not part of the primaries. Now, you go to the Savannah region, there are 3 constituencies, and out of this, there are 4 constituencies. Out of these 4 constituencies, there is no single woman contesting in this region. For the Northeast region, there are 2 constituencies, that is the Naregu Gambaga constituency and the Chereponi constituency, and the Bunkurugu Nakpanduri constituency. And out of these 2, there is only one woman who is contesting. The interesting part is that in the Northeast region, the Nalergu Gambaga constituency, where the current DC is contesting 7 other male counterparts. Now, the immediate past member of parliament happens to be a woman, that is the former local government minister, Haji Alima Mahama. Her younger sister is the one in this race, and that makes it very interesting because the MPP has always presented a female candidate for their elections, and the female candidate has always won. So this time around, the dynamics is that whether there's going to be a switch from female to male. That is actually what is happening in these 3 regions, Godwin.
All right, thank you very much, Christopher, for those details there. Let's go back to our earlier story where we told you that this afternoon the Special Prosecutor Kisei Jabin is accusing the judiciary of interfering in the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The OSP has, in the last few minutes, been addressing the media in a wide range of issues. We've already taking a listen to what he has been saying, but at the moment we are joined on phone by Joseph Akable, who is covering the news conference. Joseph, if you can hear me, the OSP spoke about the judiciary and its work. Can you give us more details on the back of that?
So he makes the point that there are a number of decisions that have been delivered by the court recently. In fact, he makes reference to 4 of them, which he says it shows a trend of dismissiveness on the part of the court. And so, for instance, he makes reference to the Cecilia Dafa case, he makes reference to the Charles Bisu matter, the Sir John case, as well as the recent Labianca case, to argue that they believe that those are matters that the court ideally were following the law and what the position of the law states. They should ideally be ruling in their favor. And he says that trend is worrying because it leads to the possibility that there's a doom along the way and it's a slippery slope which he wants to be dealt with.
All right, Joseph, the issue of sale of state lands has been raging for some time now. The OSP touched on that.
Yes, he makes the point that it's an aspect of some new investigations that they intend to undertake. And so the bit about the state lands will be one that will be investigated. There's also the bit about the Ghana Education Service and the health services within that particular area. There's also the bit about the MDAs, the ministries, departments, agencies, and also the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assemblies. It's a payroll audit that will be looking out to determine whether individuals on the public payroll are those who are supposed to be on it, whether they are individuals who are earning salaries that they should not be earning.
Right, thank you, Joseph Akable, for those details. You can log on to 3news.com to have more insights on the back of that, or also stay tuned for News at 5, where you can get to have all the updates and news just coming in. Onuya TV and Onuya FM has sued the National Media Commission, NMC, at the High Court in Accra today. The case is seeking an order for perpetual injunction restraining the NMC from taking any steps that adversely seek to impact on the media operations of the company and its associates. The suit follows numerous attempts by the NMC to use its constitutionally mandated office to harass Onuya TV and Onuya FM. The suit is seeking the court to, among other things, declare that some orders issued by the Commission to Onuya TV and Onuya FM are unlawful, and that the conduct of the NMC in refusing to give the station an opportunity to be heard before imposing sanctions on some on them is a breach of the law and of natural justice. Well, Before we go a little bit on international, Kenya's parliament has banned the wearing of a suit named after the late Zambian president Kenneth Kaunda within the building. Well, that has been the news here on 3FM 92.7 for Midday Live with me, Godwin Asediba. Business news is next. Please do stay with us.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Get ready for the most exciting event of the year. It's the 3FM All-White Party. Join us on the 28th of December at the beautiful La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, starting at 7 p.m. Dress to impress in your finest all-white
Hello, welcome to Business Daily. My name is Michael Obodu. Good afternoon to you. Coming up, Vehicle Asset Dealers Association of Ghana joins call for the setting aside of legislative instruments seeking to ban the importation of specific goods into the nation.
The fact that the Minister for Trade and Industry alone is the person that has been mandated, when it's passed, to be issuing the licenses will become a problem for all of us.
Meanwhile, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana urges government to tackle rice and poultry production challenges before import restrictions.
To sustain an all-year production of rice, the government needs to improve the irrigation facilities in the country.
Also, West African Regional Director for Consumer Organization CATS International blames the National Communications Authority for impact of upward adjustment in data tariffs by MTN on its customers. Well, we'll bring you the details of our top stories and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with us. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for staying with us. Straight into our top story now. The Vehicle Asset Dealers Association of Ghana, VADAG, is urging for the swift and complete nullification of the legal framework aimed at regulating the importation of specific goods into the country. This bill has encountered strong resistance from both traders and the parliamentary minority ever since its proposal. The General Secretary of the association, Clifford Ansu, emphasized that the enforcement of this policy would significantly endanger their means of livelihood.
There is no way that this can help our businesses. So we are calling on the parliament, both majority and minority, all the civil society organizations and the good people of Ghana to come in support of this, our particular statement that we issued this very afternoon, that we as the government and the parliament with immediate effect and as a matter of urgency to dismiss and withdraw this particular draft bill to the parliament. The fact that the Minister for Trade and Industry alone is the person that has been mandated, when it's passed, to be issuing the licenses will become a problem for all of us. Because if it does happen and you want to import a car, even as an individual, for your usage, you need to apply for that particular license and be able to be given the license so that you can import.
To hear the voice of Clifford Ansu, who is the General Secretary of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association of Ghana, VADAG. Now, still on import restrictions, and the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is admonishing the government to address challenges bedeviling rice and poultry production in the country before introducing the legislative instrument seeking to restrict the importation of some 22 selected items into the country. My colleague Shadrach Esifi has the rest of the story.
The association, during a press conference, welcomed the decision to restrict rice and poultry importation, but expressed caution, emphasizing the fulfillment and manifestation of certain key conditions to ensure that artificial shortages do not exacerbate the situation in the future.
The cost of rice production continues to be high and very unaffordable for the rice farmer. As of June 2023, the cost of production of an acre of rice cost a farmer not less than 5,000 Ghana cedis. At the same time, a 180 kilogram of paddy rice is sold at only 700 Ghana cedis. With the low prices, the farmers are still struggling to even get guaranteed markets. To sustain an all-year production of rice, the government needs to improve the irrigation facilities in the country. Rice farmers also face major challenges in accessing mechanization equipment, especially combined harvesters. Post-harvest losses constitute a major challenge for rice farmers, and this is mainly lack of harvesting equipment.
The association also called for a critical reconsideration of the current state of the legislative instrument, as they believe it may create loopholes for corruption.
We are also of the view that the current state of even the LI creates room for cronyism, corruption, and monopoly.
So that was Bismarck Teteusu Norte, head of programs at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, bringing an end to that report by my colleague Shadrach Esrifi. Now, the West African Regional Director for pro-consumer organization CAT International, Apia Kusia Dumako, is blaming the National Communications Authority, NCA, for the plight of MTN consumers. The plight MTN consumers are suffering following the upward price adjustments made by the telco. MTN Ghana has implemented an increment in tariffs on its voice and data services, attributing the move to increased cost of operations. We apologize for the poor quality in that audio. We'll bring it to you in our subsequent bulletins. But away from that, Ghana is set to benefit from some $250 million earmarked by the World Bank to improve the cybersecurity infrastructure of 60 selected countries. According to the bank's country director, Pierre Laporte, this has become necessary to bolster the global cybersecurity as well as ensure businesses thrive. He spoke at the opening of the Global Conference on Cyber Capacity Building underway here in Accra.
For the World Bank, it has become clear that we cannot achieve our goals and realize our vision, a world free of poverty on a livable planet without cyber resilience. That's why at the World Bank, we have significantly increased our commitment to cybersecurity. Our multi-donor trust fund now manages about $20 million of grants.
That was World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte speaking there. Meanwhile, Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufu, has expressed government's commitment to consolidating the gains made in cybersecurity with a score of 86.69% in online security on the ITU's Global Security Index for 2023.
Ghana is actively pursuing cybersecurity initiatives, not just for our benefit, but also for the benefit of the sub-region, using ITU recommendations and other international best practices.
That was Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Esla Owusu-Ekufu. Finally, Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi, says the Bank of Ghana's policies have not been supportive to businesses in the country. He has noted the high interest rate regime is making it difficult for businesses to flourish while negatively affecting the economy.
We have three rates that define the fundamentals of the economy: interest rate, inflation, and exchange rate. So if inflation is reducing by 16 percentage point over time, and that will not trigger a reduction in policy rate, it means nothing can be done to lending rate.
So that was Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi, bringing an end to today's edition of Business Daily. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.